Welcome back, Spooky Squad, and if you're new here, congratulations! You found the weird part of YouTube, and I am your host, Angel, paranormal enthusiast, part-time ghost magnet, and full-time lover of stories that'll make you sleep with the lights on. So, quick confession, I know I ghosted y'all last week. Pun intended. I was down bad with a flu so nasty, I considered calling a demonologist and my mum. I survived barely, but I missed this, and I missed you. Now, I figured the best way to bounce back from a near-death NyQuil experience was to dive headfirst into a story so terrifying, it makes my flu seem like a spa weekend. Tonight's haunted tale is more than just bumps in the night. This house hurts people, like physically. People walk in and they don't walk out the same. This is not your average creaky floored ghost story. This is the Sally house. And trust me, you're going to want to leave a light on for this one. Atchison, Kansas. Population just under 11,000. Quaint, historic. The kind of town where everyone waves and everyone's heard the rumors. 508 North 2nd Street looks like any other quiet Midwestern house, but step inside and the silence begins to feel different. Heavy, intentional, like something is holding its breath and waiting for you. The house's reputation wasn't built overnight. It's been whispered about for generations, especially once the story of a little girl named Sally took root. Locals say her spirit still roams the halls. Some claim they've seen her, a small shadowy figure on the stairs, or felt her icy fingers brush their arms. But others believe Sally is just the beginning, that this house plays host to much, much more. And they might be right, because the deeper you go into its history, the more disturbing it gets. The house was built in the mid-1800s, originally owned by Dr. Charles Finney. Not your average family practitioner. This was a man who performed surgeries right in the front room of the house. Now, I'm all for home offices, but a home operating room? That's a hard no. This was an era with no antibiotics, no real painkillers, and definitely no anesthesia standards. Just whiskey, grit, and bad luck. Dr. Finney allegedly saw patients of all kinds, including children, and the house itself has absorbed that pain. Imagine decades of suffering echoing through the walls, like psychic residue. While there's no confirmed patient records left behind, the theory is this. Sally was one of those children, and the procedure that ended her life took place in that very front room. But if Sally is real, why does the energy in the house feel wrong? Why do grown adults break into tears walking through the kitchen? Why do electronics fail in the same rooms again and again? Why do scratches appear on people's bodies after standing in the hallway? It's almost like the house remembers more than the people do. Let's dig into the legend itself. According to the most common story, around the early 1900s, a mother rushed her young daughter Sally to Dr. Finney after she complained of excruciating stomach pain. The doctor diagnosed appendicitis and rushed her into surgery. Here's the kicker. He supposedly didn't wait for the anesthesia to take full effect. That's right, he began cutting while she was still awake. The pain, the fear, the betrayal. If spirits lingered due to trauma, well, Sally would have every reason to stay. But here's where it gets murky. There are no historical records proving this happened. No Sally, no death record, no grieving mother. Which has led some to wonder, was this a case of oral folklore gone wild? Or is Sally not a trapped little girl, but something else entirely? You see, some investigators believe that the spirit known as Sally may actually be a manipulative entity, using the guise of a child to lower people's defenses. And once you trust her, that's when the real danger begins. In ghost lore, that's a classic trick. Demonic or malevolent spirits often disguise themselves as children. Sweet, sad, innocent. Until they're not. And nowhere does that theory get tested more than with the Pickmans. In 1993, Tony and Deborah Pickman moved into the Sally house. Newlyweds, excited and completely unaware of what waited behind the walls. At first, it was little things. Flickering lights, objects slightly moved, their dog acting strangely. They brushed it off. It's an old house, right? Then came the nursery. They had prepared a room for their newborn son, but the room was always cold. Toys would be rearranged. One night, Deborah walked in to find every single stuffed animal turned to face the wall. Another night, all the batteries in the baby monitor drained at once, and then it escalated. Tony began waking with scratches across his back and chest. Always 3 marks. Once he was physically shoved down the stairs. He started seeing dark shapes out of the corner of his eyes, and once he swore he saw a little girl glaring at him from the kitchen doorway. But it wasn't just the physical side. The house began to get into their heads. Tony's mood changed. He became agitated, angry. He reported blacking out. He even admitted to having thoughts that didn't feel like his own. Mediums were called, paranormal investigators. Some refused to return. One psychic walked into the house and immediately burst into tears, claiming the house was crawling with spirits, and that something inhuman was pretending to be a little girl. Eventually the Pickmans left, but not before documenting some of their experiences. The house had drained them, mentally, physically, spiritually. And to this day, Tony says, whatever is in that house followed him for a time. After the Pickman story gained attention, the Sally house became a hotbed for paranormal investigations. Teams from around the world came in, armed with EMF readers, thermal cameras, spirit boxes, and just a little too much confidence. One of the most famous visits came from the crew of Ghost Adventures. During their investigation, equipment malfunctioned, lights flickered violently, and unexplained growls were picked up on audio. Zach Baggins himself was physically affected, reporting a sense of rage, dizziness, and an overwhelming need to leave. That's when you know it's bad. Other teams captured chilling EVPs, a child's voice saying "Mama," another saying "hurts," and more disturbingly, a deep, snarling voice saying "mine." Thermal cameras have picked up cold spots shaped like a crouched figure in the corner of the nursery. One investigator fainted in the hallway. Others refused to return after their first night. Whatever is in the Sally house doesn't just want attention. It wants dominance, control, and maybe even a little blood. So what's really going on here? There are a few theories. Let's run through them. Sally is real. A little girl died in agony, and her confused, angry spirit lingers. Sally is a mask. A more malevolent entity uses the form of a child to manipulate and feed on fear. It's a portal. The house isn't just haunted, it's a doorway for multiple spirits. It's psychological. The legend is so strong it triggers collective hallucination or heightened suggestibility. And honestly, it could be a bit of all 4. The Sally house is one of those rare places where belief fuels activity. The more you engage, the more it responds. Some guests report nothing. Others leave scarred for life. It's not about whether you believe in ghosts. It's about whether they believe in you. Today, the Sally house is open to the public. You can tour it, even stay overnight. But be warned, many don't make it through the night. Visitors have reported nausea, headaches, scratches, and even fainting. Some leave sobbing. Others feel completely fine until they get home. The house doesn't just haunt rooms, it haunts people. And now that you know its story, maybe it haunts you too. If you hear footsteps when you're alone tonight, don't worry. It's probably just your imagination. Probably. If you enjoyed this ghostly deep dive, hit that like button like you're trying to exercise your phone. Subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so the next haunted tale finds its way to you. Share this video with a friend who says they're not afraid of anything. Let's test that. Drop a comment if you'd spend a night in the Sally house, or if you already have. I want all the tea. Until next time, sleep with the lights on, don't trust your toys, and stay spooky.